Hello, welcome back to LTC Heroes Live by Experience Care. My name is Peter Murphy Lewis. I'm your host. I'm at day 3 at HIMSS 2023 in Chicago. It's been fun interviewing the leaders of long-term care at the Health Tech Conference. And today I'm excited because I'm talking to two young female leaders that had a panel today. I wasn't able to attend because I had some conflicts, but we're going to hear about it today, and we're going to hear about what the trends that they're seeing in the industry. I want to start off by introducing Nikki Starrett. She's the Senior Director of Solution Design at PointClickCare. Nikki, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Peter. Excited to be here.
Nikki, tell me what was the topic that you all talked about today, and then maybe give me 2 or 3 highlights specifically about what interested you and what you presented.
Yeah. So we had an industry solution session on how to level up on post-acute care collaboration with network insights. And Danielle, who will be introduced shortly, was really the centerpiece of the presentation. And she was talking about how RWJ Barnabas, which is a health system in New Jersey, leveraged PointClickCare's technology and post-acute care collaboration solution to address readmissions, which it's a very complex problem, as well as transitions from the post-acute setting.
Wonderful. Transition to Danielle, and I'll ask you more of a human question before we get into healthcare.
Sure.
Were you nervous? And then what did you present?
I was super nervous. I keep signing myself up to do these things, and then I get there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm really nervous. Why do I do this to myself? But the presentation really is an important one. Coming from the post-acute space before I was in the health system, it's rare that the health system understands the other side of things. So for me, it really was, how do we become better partners to our post-acute to close those gaps in care to improve our patient outcomes, and that really how we leverage the technology of PointClickCare to help with those challenges.
Danielle, let's stick with you for a moment. Tell me why you were chosen. What is your job? What were you doing 6 months ago? What were you doing a year ago for PointClickCare to ask you to come be on stage and explain what you're solving?
Sure. So prior to joining the health system in January of 2022, I actually worked for a convener. So I had the value-based care background and the technology solution. So when I joined the health system, I am their assistant director of post-acute network. So I oversee our performance network, and I work with our skilled nursing facility partners. So for PointClickCare, we joined their solution at the beginning of 2023. So we're kind of real life experience as to how we can use technology to increase patient outcomes.
Staying with the same topic of what you've been working on, what have been the biggest challenges? And feel free to, say like, we had 5 challenges and we got 4. This one we're still working on, and we'll hope to finish it by December.
Sure. So our biggest challenges was closing care gaps when we were transitioning patients from our hospital to post-acute settings. So how do we ensure that we're able to follow and track those patients through their 90-day episode of care? So the solution allows us, PointClickCare allows us to manage those patients and have an insight into the EMR at the skilled nursing facility.
Nikki, tell me, how does it, have you been coming to HIMSS for a while? And if you have or haven't, how do you feel being here? Because PointClickCare is now in a transition. You all no longer consider yourself just a traditional EHR, rather you're more. But the post-acute representation in HIMSS is slim, so it must be special to be here. And tell me what the trends you're hearing on the floor from acute that you're bringing over to PointClickCare.
Yeah, great question. So this is actually my first time at HIMSS, and I would say that it's exciting to be here this year in particular, representing PointClickCare, because we have undergone such a transformation in the past couple of years. As you mentioned, we started out as the senior health information platform, and now we've really evolved into this care collaboration network, one of the largest networks in the country, and we're focused on providing insights across the entire continuum. And what I've seen, walking the floor, talking to people at our booth, the questions during our session this morning is just that this topic, like collaboration between the acute and the post-acute, side is really top of mind for health system leaders and people that are working in the industry. So that's been great.
Nikki, tell me what were one or two of the questions in the audience that either you learned from the question or it made you ponder, like, wow, that's interesting. Either I'm going to take that home, or it made you maybe stall and think about how you were going to answer it.
There were some really good questions. The technology, the solution that Danielle was highlighting, the PointClickCare PAC network management solution, how is it being received by the ACO care teams, the team that Danielle leads? So the question was, how is it being received by the SNFs when you're rolling this out? What are the benefits? And really, there's been an overwhelmingly positive response. SNFs are, we're seeing that they are eager for technology and tools to help them better care for their patients, to help them be a better partner with a more informed partner with their health ACO partners. So they've really embraced it, and it's had a positive impact on collaboration at the local level.
I have a follow-up question around the audience. Based on the questions that you got, did you feel that it was primarily post-acute? Were people in CCRCs? Was it hospitals that were trying to interested? Tell me a little bit about the audience that was there.
We had a good mix of health system leaders and post-acute leaders. So it was representation from both sides that seemed like it piqued their interest about, how can we leverage shared technology and come together to care for our shared patients.
Danielle, tell me what's next. What are the next challenges that you have at RWJ Barnabas Health?
So what's next? We always like to look in the future. We're very innovative at RWJ Barnabas Health. So the next thing I'm looking to solve is really how do we increase the technology and leverage sending over, med recs, right into PointClickCare, into the EMR of the SNF to help decrease med errors and help decrease, manual workflows for staff and staff burnout. So really, how do we continue to use the technology to leverage our goals and try to meet them for the end of the year?
I have a follow-up question about, I guess, I'm going to figure out my question as I ask it.
Sure.
So I appreciate your patience. What does the development process, the implementation process look like when you're working across different teams? Tell me about how the planning starts. Tell me what the meetings look like. Who are the decision makers that are involved when you're trying to perfect this process?
Sure. So when we were vetting solutions, one of the things that we did is I looked at, so for me, this solution directly impacts my team, my post-acute care team that manages the patients with the skilled nursing facilities. So we looked at the solution. You obviously always look at the financial impact, and then we looked at the return on investment. So how do we determine that this is going to be the solution for our health system? So once we went through that financial process and got approval, then we worked with PointClickCare, who is awesome. They're great to work with. We vetted our SNF network. We gave them, these are the people in our SNF network. They went out with their activation team, got all the agreements signed, worked with us to set up an executive roundtable, and then the implementation process came next with training. And we really just have, communication is key. If there's an area of breakdown in communication, the process is going to fail. So really, I'm grateful that at PointClickCare, they're such great partners that our communication is multiple times a week to ensure appropriate implementation.
Nikki, tell me what you oversee beyond the specific topic as the Senior Director of Solution Design. What's upcoming on the horizon that you're like, oh, this is the next big project that I have to focus on?
Yeah. So I oversee our team of subject matter experts and clinicians at PointClickCare, and we work really across the client lifecycle from, with potential customers, understanding the goals, the problems they're trying to solve, and identifying the solutions that can help them, to working with existing clients to make sure they're getting the most value out of the solutions. And then also trying to evolve our products as a whole so they're responsive to the needs in the market. And I would say this is this post-acute care, acute collaboration, that intersection is a space that we're really doubling down on and continuing to invest in predictive models, machine learning that'll allow care teams to work more efficiently, identify high-risk patients, and overall improve that coordination across multiple different stakeholder groups.
I want to, if my memory serves me, PointClickCare has been coming here more or less since about 2018, so about 5 years. What are the questions you're getting when people come up to the booth, and who are they? I'm wondering if it's around interoperability. Surely it's not owners of SNFs that are coming to HIMSS. Tell me a little bit about the conversations you're having here.
Yeah, we did have a couple of SNF leaders in the audience this morning, which was awesome, and then some great follow-up discussions. But I think a lot of the traffic that we're getting is primarily from health system leaders and who know the PointClickCare name and associate it with with the LTPAC side, but have heard, from various channels, maybe from their SNF partners as well, that we are evolving and support the entire continuum. We've also seen a lot of interest from partners who are excited about the direction that the company is going, and also see opportunity and want a stake in that.
Lastly, before we wrap up, were there any questions that they asked you today on the panel that you weren't able to answer, and you said, let me loop in my boss?
We did loop in Anthony Laughlin for one of the questions around PointClickCare Partner Toolkit. That's kind of how the SNFs see the PAC network management and how they could see their scorecards. So we did loop in some industry experts from PointClickCare to help answer some of those more tech questions that aren't a view that I'm used to seeing on the health system side.
Well, Danielle, thank you so much for joining me on LTC Heroes. It's a pleasure. It's interesting to hear about your experience in the field, but also have you hear it from the tech point of view. Thank you so much, and Nikki as well.
Thank you so much.